Important thing when we talk about tonality and pacing, I think, is what kind of connection and what kind of presence you have immediately on the phone. This is critical. If I were to look at the entirety, the scope of the presentation itself, or the outbound call to set an appointment face to face, it's really how you sound within those first 15 to 20 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds, even sooner than that, that makes all the difference. And if there's any emphasis on where to really work on tonality, it's within that period of time. Your tonality needs to be Johnny on the spot in the beginning, because if you don't capture the person's attention, if you come off as flatline or boring, then you're not going to keep them on the phone for the entirety of the call. You need to hook them, right? Part of that hook is the script. But as you new people out there, and those of you who are experienced in studying understand, it's not just the script that matters. It's certainly how you perform the script. Again, one of the best things to realize, true for face-to-face, even more for true over the phone, is you're almost like an actor on a stage. And you have to perform the script in front of a group of people. And how you perform it has to be easily understood, not only in the front first row, but it needs to be just as easily understood in the nosebleed section way in the back, right? And if you think about how an actor performs a script, they over-exaggerate the emotions they're trying to communicate. They use their hands, they're physical as well as verbal, right? And I think this is a good analogy when we think of using the phone to set appointments or to sell over the phone, right? We lose the same physicality that somebody face-to-face, or in this case, as an actor who's in the front row, gets versus those up in the nosebleed section, right? So point being, we have to perform the script. It's not something that is like a second or third chair to the script itself. It is equivalently important to the script, if not even more important, really. So you not being intriguing and engaging, it doesn't matter how good your script is, you're dead in the water, right? And what you're going to find happen too, guys, is when your tonality, people will reciprocate it. Do you understand what that means when I say reciprocate? Like when you start off a conversation and you sound on top of things with some dynamics, guess how they respond? They respond back in like kind, because you sound like somebody that's interesting, and maybe they know you and they're like excited to talk to this person, but they're kind of curious at the same time. So you put them in kind of a better state of mind too. And I think too, your how you speak very much follows your mindset. If you talk flat, and this is part of the issue too, that it's all connected, like what you say and how you say things. It's an exemplar of what's going on in your head. Okay. If you're flat and boring and monotone and you now have no energy, that's probably a reflection that you don't really want to be doing this. It's just going to show. It's hard not to. It's really hard for people to fake things. But if you're excited and you can't wait to talk to these people because you know you're going to help, you know you're going to sell today, you're going to make money, you're going to achieve your dreams, and this is part one day in the many that you're going to do it, and you've got vision, you've got purpose, you've got direction in your life, that's going to reflect in your voice. Okay. Obviously, we all get down at times, but we have to emphasize that point. I think it's going to make it powerful. It is imperative if you're setting appointments over the phone. It is imperative if you're selling final expense over the phone. And certainly if you're selling face to face, but more so for the first 2 points, anytime that you use the phone, it's imperative that you examine how you sound in a way that's not in the moment while you're talking to them. You must record yourself giving the script. At first, of course, practicing it, but ideally as you conduct the phone calls. There is no better tool to examine really how you sound than to listen to a recording of yourself. You may ask me questions like, why do people say these objections and do this or that? And why am I dealing with this frustration point? It may just be what you're saying or how you're saying it, but you won't be able to, as well as myself, examine and understand what it is without that recording. So for everybody on the call here, it's just really like critical. This is probably the one tool that can make all the difference in your game, especially setting the appointments, starting the presentations, is recording yourself and then listening to it afterwards. Okay. What you will discover in many cases is a shocking amount of cringe, but that will set you on the pathway to improvement. Yeah. And this may be a personality thing. Ultimately, some people may be a little more naturally over the top, predisposed to doing that. Some of you out there may be like, I don't, that doesn't sound like me. That's okay. Again, I think more importantly than being over the top, you need to be sincere in how you open these calls. However that is for you, as long as you understand that boredom is the death knell of your business. If you're flat and boring, even if you're sincere, they're just going to be bored. But it's likely if you're flat and boring, you just don't want to do it. And that speaks to a larger problem that you've got to solve, which is, well, how can I enjoy this and want to do this? What kind of mindset can I have? And I can talk about that if you want to. But that's the thing. At some level, you got to act as if, you got to fake it to make it. And you've got to put on your acting gear, because that's what people on stage do when they're giving a performance. We can do it too, and perform our script and understand that. And it's a funny thing, this whole fake it till you make it thing. I always despised that kind of mentality until I realized, like, your behavior very much will follow kind of how you act or what you do. If you act as if you are happy or excited or enthusiastic, even when you're not feeling that way, your body tends to follow the actions that you take. It's true. Even if you're not there mentally, you can get there by your actions. And again, remember, guys, at the end of the day, when you're dialing and you have anxiety, it's normal. Okay. Everything in this job of selling insurance where there's anxiety, resistance, et cetera, it's normal. You're experiencing like normal stuff. If you don't feel that way, I commend you, because you're like some alien, right? It's unusual that it's like that. But as all things in life, it's the first attempt that's the hardest. And you just got to do it, get through the first one. And what you'll find is every preceding iteration is going to be a lot easier. Every second, third, fifth, 10th, 20th, 100th call of the day, the anxiety level, you've kind of numbed it. It might still be there, but you don't pay as much attention to it. And likewise, through repetition, you can numb your reaction to the fear that you have of picking the phone up, door knocking, prospecting, running appointments.
I wouldn't say I have anxiety, but I'm always like, I hope this person's not a jerk right before I call.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is you've got to, and ultimately this comes down to, well, how do you mitigate all the fear 100% when you get started? Some people think, well, you can't, you won't. This is more geared towards if you're new. This is just normal. You have to do it anyway. This is just one of those things you have to take on a leap of faith, like a lot of this business, and just pick the phone up and call despite being afraid and having fear. It's okay. They can't come through the phone. They're not going to hunt you down and get you. What they're going to do is probably yell at you and hang the phone up. And that's the worst that they'll do to you. They'll slam the door in your face. That's the worst that they'll do to you. Okay. But the vast majority of people you'll find are nice to talk to, at least courteous, respectful. And you just got to work the system to find them.